PS5 jailbreak news update. We do have a few topics to get into here with jailbreaking the PS5, but before we get into that, there has also been a lot of news outside of the jailbreaking scene that definitely seems to have implications that will hopefully bring more people to jailbreaking their consoles now. Not only that, but might also attract more hackers to the scene to actually exploit the console on higher firmwares and open up the console even more, which would be fantastic. So basically what's been happening, I'll do a quick recap here on everything that's been going on. So first of all, PlayStation removed the purchased movies from people's libraries. So not rentals, but movies that had been fully purchased, as they chose not to renew the licenses with the movie studios. They have the right to do this because the license that you purchase has terms and conditions that allow PlayStation to revoke your access for more or less any reason, which basically means you do not actually own any of the content that you purchase digitally. You just have a license which gives you access to it as long as PlayStation allows you to have access to it. Then they announced that they will be shutting down physical disc production in January of 2028. So the only option to purchase new games will be via a digital license where they can revoke that license for any reason, which we've already seen given what they've done with some movies, revoking access to them. They also cited changing consumer habits for the move and that 78% of game purchases are now digital, so they are simply adapting to changing consumer preferences. However, it appears that the 78% figure also accounts for digital games that don't have a physical counterpart, and when you look at the data from other sources like the Insomniac leaks, you can see that many games actually sold more physical copies than digital. Now, this move would ultimately kill the used market and could give PlayStation an effective monopoly on digital game sales with little to no competition, which would allow them to set high prices on the store with no alternatives to help drive down those prices. Right now, you can still get games from the used market at a reduced price from places like eBay. Now, PlayStation also announced that they will be shutting down the PS3 and Vita digital storefronts in July of 2027. So anyone that does not already have the content will no longer be able to purchase it from the store. Luckily, thanks to jailbreaks and the prevalence of physical copies, much of this content has already been preserved, but in an all-digital future where there are no physical copies to turn to when the digital stores are shut down, there will be no alternative places that you can go to purchase that content. This is why it's become even more important to be able to jailbreak your hardware, including future PlayStation consoles, as it gives you back control of your hardware and the content that runs on it. For example, with the PS5, you can take any game you have purchased digitally that is still runnable on the console or a disc-based game and create a DRM-free digital copy of that game that can be loaded on any jailbreakable PS5. This is a digital copy that cannot be stripped away from you. You can make multiple copies of it, store them in different locations, different devices, and also install and run those games whenever you want to on your own terms. And the same with PS4 games and games from older systems like PS1 and PS2 games that you can also run on a jailbroken PS5. Now, you can also apply patches to do things like unlock the frame rates, because there's a bunch of PlayStation 4 games that never got patched to actually utilize the extra performance of the PS5, where they're still locked at 30 frames per second. When you have a jailbreak, you have control over the system. You're able to apply patches that people have made to unlock those frame rates and push frame rates up to 60 frames per second or more on those games that were previously